Okay, first of all, hi. I know it's been a while, but we are here, we are back. I finished college, woo, yay, done. Anyway, now I can finally make videos and YouTube videos and all that again, so I'm very happy about that. But we got something that we need to talk about, and that is the Backrooms movie. As for what I thought about the Backrooms movie, I thought it was pretty bad. I thought it was pretty bad. So to preface everything of my opinion, I'm kind of an old head about the Backrooms and stuff. I like dreamcore stuff, which is why I like, Silent Hill so much. I really enjoy movies that mess around with the idea of oh yeah, this is happening in a dream, and trying to portray a dream as realistically as possible, where things just slightly don't make much sense, but perhaps have a little bit of symbolism. We can also see that within say Silent Hill 4 as well. Silent Hill 3, sort of, but I would say Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill 4 really hit on that for me. And that's what I originally thought the Backrooms were for. Initially, whenever they were on 4chan and stuff, I thought it was supposed to be about, oh yeah, I go to this place in my dreams, and it's like an office space, and it has the droning of an office, and things don't quite make any sense or line up in architecture or whatever, and then the only way to get out is by trying to remember your home and then finding your house and then going through that way, whatever. I think it's a cool concept to try to mess with that in a movie, but I look literally on google.com right now, and I see that it says creepy sci-fi horror movie. Oh no. Because look, here's the problem. Five Nights at Freddy's had this exact issue as well. I'm gonna say specifically on FNAF 4. The original concept was that everything was happening in a dream, so things didn't have to make any sense, but then certain things could have certain symbolism and it would be very powerful. But whenever Scott Cawthon decided, oh, let me go turn this into sci-fi, then you take out the impact, well, not the impact, you take out what makes it good. The problem with turning the idea of something that is dreamcore and turning it into sci-fi is that the difference is that you have to take it out of the dream and put in reality, or some kind of reality, and then make it supernatural sci-fi. The problem with that as well is the more you make something sci-fi, the more you have to have it make sense. There has to be rules, there has to be things that make sense, and there has to be some amount of consistency within the world. Not to mention, you have to make this world make sense in the eyes of the audience. Now again, I am not I've never played the Backrooms video game. I've played it once or twice on Roblox and thought it was kind of lame. I just really thought it was kind of, quite frankly, cheapening the whole idea of the Backrooms. Yeah, and I just think that the concept, maybe it would be cool if they messed around with oh, was I dreaming or was it real life? Oh, it's a dream. Oh, but then I'm waking up with the same injury that I got as when I got in the dream or whatever. That's really cool to me. That's supernatural. That's kind of what Wonder April already hit on. But that's not really what you get in Backrooms. It's supposed to just be everything happens in their reality, and it's just sci-fi, and it's to the level of think Stranger Things, which makes it so much worse that I think about it. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I just wanted to preface all of that about what I honestly wanted the film to be in my mindset beforehand. Now, again, when I actually was going to the movie theaters with my friends, I didn't come in with all this. I wasn't thinking about all this. I came in with a completely open mind. I was just expecting to see the Backrooms. Yeah, that's all I was expecting. And what I got instead was honestly a confusing mess. Now, this is when I'm going to start getting into the film, so if you have not seen it and you really want to see it, I'm going to get into spoilers here. Just my thoughts going through the scenes in my brain. But if you don't like spoilers, then leave now. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so spoiler time. The whole plot line with Mary, I like the concept of trying to explore a character that is a therapist or something. Maybe is using money or whatever, or trying to get people's money through her therapist services. But I just thought that it was a really weird shoe-in, because it kind of ties into my bigger issue, which I'll probably preface later on, or I'll probably reiterate later on, about how this movie doesn't really have a message. It doesn't really say much. I feel like Where you could have easily said something is in Mary's story with like how she was locked up as a kid and her mother was like in the psych ward and like schizophrenic or whatever. You know, maybe you could have like used that to be like, okay, so then she imagines what like the Backrooms are like. Maybe her dad worked there or something. But no, we don't really get that much out of her character other than she was locked up in her house for a really long time, and then her house was destroyed for this new office building, which I thought would have some sort of connection to the Backrooms. They don't. I really thought they would, but they don't. And yeah, I thought like the whole monologues, like with therapy and all that, was kind of cringe. Maybe I just didn't get it. And maybe this movie has something a little bit more to say about how, oh, if you open up the window of the mind, maybe stuff will happen and things will change. But let's think about the ending with Mary really quickly. And this kind of transitions into Clark. So if there's any message of this movie, at least through Mary, it would be maybe you can't help someone more than they want help themselves. Then you have to tell them to stay if they want to stay, but like ask for them to let you go or whatever. But that's not even like a satisfying answer, because this movie just refuses to answer any questions that you have, or most questions that you have, whatever. I mean, I thought it was kind of cool that they swapped protagonists. When it comes to Mary, the acting was good. I think the acting was good across the board for everybody. And then, you know, shots and everything looked great. You know, cinematography looked great. But when it comes to like the actual story, the actual plot line, how the character is written, pretty bad. So same goes for Clark. Well, I think poorly written would be not a great way to say that, because I think Clark is actually pretty well written, and I kind of like his plot line where he's kind of just like a deadbeat and, you know, he blames everyone, which that is probably one moment that I did like about how, you know, Mary called him out. And I think everything with Clark was really good until like the very end. And what I mean is like you're building Clark to be this character that, you know, is so broken and, you know, maybe a little bit even narcissistic, and is trying to keep this business afloat, but is living at his job, right? And, you know, all this weird stuff starts happening, and I could totally see how this guy is so deprived that, you know, when he has the opportunity to go and pursue something that is like something new, something fresh, something different, then like I can totally see why he would make the choices that he did and explore this place and start taking furniture. I really question how the lights stay on in the business in the first place, because like it doesn't look like anyone's actually buying any furniture, even with the advertisements, but whatever. Anyway, I thought everything with Clark was actually really well done, plotline wise, especially acting wise. I thought it was very good. But I just don't like what happened at the very end, because first of all, it seems like Clark was just gonna get murked with the monster behind him, right? Whenever he's like, you know, banging on the wall, like, cat, can you hear me? Whatever. But I don't think that was the case. Because, okay, look. Because we're talking about the Backrooms, right? I would be very open to like the idea of like the Backrooms copying or making a projection of Clark after it kills the real Clark, which is what I thought happened. But apparently this is the real Clark, and he just got up behind Mary and like choked her out, and then had this like whole scene with her, which again, I thought it was really cool. But there's just literally no explanation for why he just suddenly turns evil. You're supposed to just get it. There's a lot of questions in this movie that are left unanswered, but that's just one of many of them. And Harry's reacting was very strange. And then, you know, whenever the monster showed up, because like the question would be, what does Clark's monster represent? Honestly, couldn't tell you. I wish I could, because like I'm trying to think about what the heck the monster symbolizes for Clark. And maybe it's like his most inner and ugly self or something, and he's trying to satisfy this inner ugly self or whatever. So that's why he's like, see, she said we could stay like this, we can be like this forever. But then it's like, why does the monster just bite him and like literally just kill him, presumably? I don't even know, dude. It's just so confusing. It's so confusing and frustrating. And it's like, those are really huge questions that I would love to know that you literally just don't get an answer for. It was just pretty unsatisfying in that way. Then let me wrap up with Kat and her boyfriend. I thought they were alright. Like I don't really have too much for them. I think their acting was very good, and I thought that you know, the scene where, you know, he's like sliding down was really, really honestly scary, terrifying even. Especially like he couldn't figure out the knot, which that's another thing. I really wish like the whole thing with Clark and like, you know, his knots was like explained, like, oh, you know, his dad was a fisherman, so he knew all these knots or something. I don't know. Like, I wish I could have gotten to know Clark a little bit more personally, because there was so much runtime in this movie. That's another big point for me. There is so much stinking runtime to this movie. This movie is so slow and takes up so much of its time, of its sweet time, and tries to be such a slow burn movie when we could have used this time to give answers to vital questions so you understand the story better. And I get it if this is like a movie that's not supposed to like be like, you're not supposed to get it fully on first watch, but I just like, I know A24 loves like their slow burn movies, but like this is like a movie where like if I personally knew the characters like a lot better beforehand, then I would probably enjoy this film a lot more. Or if things were explained a lot more, if I can understand Mary more, if I can understand Clark more, or maybe see these flashbacks that he's talking about, or, you know, have more flashbacks from Mary that explain, you know, her connection to the Backrooms, because that's honestly the biggest question. Like, why her? Why does she have this connection? And is she connected to like the lab guy? Like, I don't know. Nobody knows. And it just doesn't give any answers. And then like the whole thing with like the SCP type foundation as well, and the hazmat suit guys, it's whatever, it's sci-fi, you know. And I just don't like how they make this like horror concept of like what's supposed to be dreamcore and like turn it into like sci-fi horror. It just doesn't feel nearly as scary to me, especially since there's still a lot of like classic horror tropes that I thought A24 would maybe get out of. The whole like, oh well, there's this monster chasing me, but I'm gonna go extremely slow up these stairs. Come on, Mary. Or like same for Clark initially when like he was in that one room and then he had to like go through that small door with the three knobs or whatever. That was pretty frustrating. There are a lot of frustrating moments. This whole movie is just frustrating to watch, especially as a person that doesn't really dabble in Backrooms stuff much at all. I will say one thing I liked is like the monster. The monster isn't really, how you say, revealed. Not really. Or, you know, there's only like a few times that you really see the monster. It really has to leave up to your imagination. But I just feel like there's so much like of like exploring and walking around the Backrooms as slow as possible. Honestly, I'm like, dude, go literally any faster. Oh my gosh. And just way too slow. So that is why I am actually going to rate this movie a 3 out of 10. Because I thought the cinematography was good, the acting was good, a couple of the characters are well written, but the entire movie when it comes to plotline and runtime is genuinely awful. And I wanted a better movie experience. I was not really paying attention to the Backrooms or the concept of the Backrooms that much, or at least it doesn't factor into my scoring that well. It's more so just about how does it stand as a movie alone. But that's what I would say about the Backrooms. I honestly, it's not that I hate it, but I strongly dislike it. There are very few movies that I really hate, but this is just one movie that I'm like, dude, why? But yeah, thank you for listening to me yap. Please like and subscribe. I'll try to be here more often because I have a lot more time in my hands. Take care. God bless.
You have turned my mourning into joyful dance. You have taken away my clothes of mourning and clothed me with joy, that I might sing praises to you and not be silent. O Lord my God, I will give you thanks forever.